Guys, have you guys gotten the new form of spam text message? I had heard about this making its way across the world, but had not experienced it myself. But at 3:57 a.m., I got a text message that said, "Hey name," which was not my name. This is insane name, a name I've never heard in my entire life. Just wondering how your house search in Halifax is going. Hey, are you looking for somebody to help sell your house? And then they just texted like the same thing 9 times between 3 a.m. and 10 a.m. I'm dying here, man. But I didn't want to report them as spam because I don't know if it's spam. I didn't want to blow up like their whole business. But I do want to block the message, block the number. But I've never blocked anybody's number before. Okay, hold on. We've never won a run with Lilith before. When enemies are killed, summon a spirit. Spirits chase down nearby enemies, deal 8 damage, and you know what? Our least successful gun, dual SMGs. Let's send it. If that's not spam, what is? Well, like, you know, when you get a voicemail and it's in a foreign language and all you hear is, like, Amazon gift card. That's 100% spam. Will NL win this one? I feel like maybe I just had, like, an overzealous real estate agent who somebody gave the wrong number to. But I might be wrong. I just can't imagine that works, man. Like, what kind of person out there is like, you know what? I wasn't that interested in selling my house, but now that I got cold texted by a real estate agent, it sounds like a pretty good idea. I was also laughing. I don't even know if I should admit this, but Dan linked me to a streamer last night who was doing a stream called E-Dating. Maybe you've heard of him. He's like the biggest streamer on the platform, I guess. His name is Aiden Ross. So he was running like a dating game TV show with a young lady and a bunch of prospective male suitors. And he asked her what she did for work. I'm not going to answer that question, but all I'm going to say is that she said, but in the next month, I'm going to start getting into flipping houses. And I was like, lady, you got to read the damn economic news lately. Your timing is all fucked up. Are you kidding me? Interest rates have never been higher. Home prices are still high, but are potentially coming down. But either way, you're signing a 30-year fixed mortgage at like 6% now. 2 years ago, you'd be signing at like 1.75. Like, what do you... Anyway, sorry. Who's gonna tell her? Do we want more projectiles? Maybe, or do we want more HP, more projectiles? Maybe a dragon? Maybe a dragon? Maybe a frost mage? Maybe a... You know what? Freeze is always good. Give me... Freeze is... It never disappoints you. My ears, bro. It's just a vacuum. You'll get over it, okay? I will say, there's 2 inventions I would love to... I would love to invent. And I don't think that this makes any scientific sense. But a silent vacuum would be an insane invention. That would go so hard. And let me tell you the biggest one of all. A silent fume hood for over top of your stove. That's the... I don't use my range hood as often as I should. Because it's so damn loud that I find it annoying. I find myself being resentful. My wife will say like, hey, can you turn on the fan in the kitchen? And I'm like, oh, my borscht doesn't smell good enough for you? Then now I gotta deal, while I'm cooking, I gotta deal with the whole time. But honest, I think it's a good thing. Oh, we definitely want lightning. I think it's a good thing to have on, especially because I don't know if you guys have looked up the recent scientific literature on the polluting effect of gas stoves. If you have a gas stove, I didn't know this. I apologize if you've never heard this before and you find yourself being the bearer of bad, or you find me being the bearer of bad news. I have a gas stove and I love my gas stove, but apparently there is a movement away from them because it releases some pollutants into your house. So the recommendation, you know, if you're not going to replace your stove, which is obviously very expensive, is keep your range hood on at all times while you're cooking. But that shit is loud as hell. So if they could make a silent range hood, I mean, I'd be all in, man. Microplastics and natural gas. It's the 21st century diet. I'm gonna be honest, I think I have less microplastics in my body than the average person, because never once in my life have I used one of those fabric softeners where you fill a plastic cap with a bunch of little microplastic beads and then throw it in the washer with your clothes. I think I have a minimum, I have less microplastic in my body as a result of that. Also, I never used like a facial cleanser that had plastic in it that served as an abrasive in order to exfoliate your skin. You think the average person uses those? It depends. Because if we're talking Twitch chat, I don't think the average person even uses detergent. So fabric softener is a little bit, is one step beyond that. Salsa on my balls, boys. Salsa on my balls, boys. So true. We should bring dubstep back. I wasn't even really like into dubstep the first time around, because instead I was I don't mean to brag, but while you were listening to Destroyer, I was dissecting the menagerie of beauties that were present in Destroyer's 2012 album Kaput. We are not the same. Should we though? I mean, I don't know. I kind of like how it sounds. Like my perception of dubstep is that it sounds like when you would get like a vinyl agenda as a kid in like middle school, and then you'd scrape your fingernails across it, and it would go like. It kind of sounds like the industrial noises from the Terminator 2 theme song, but night chord, something like that. I just got here, what's he talking about? Oh, we're basically just floundering, looking for like a bit to stick. There's been some micro bits so far. We haven't found like a really thick topic for conversation yet. Dude, honestly, that went pretty well. It's going pretty well so far. Gain move speed when an enemy is killed. Okay, I mean that's seems very nice. I would like more Holy Shield, but I think just damage. I always try to like build defense, and then like your defense doesn't matter. If you can't kill enemies, like they're gonna hit you even if you get a shield every minute. Just build offense instead and crush them. What's for dinner tonight? Here's the thing. I don't know the answer to that question. Yesterday I was at the butcher shop, and honestly the ribeye were on sale. I never buy ribeye because they're so expensive, but the ribeye were like 25% off, so I got 2 of them. My wife and I split one last night. It was fantastic. Just a little you know, cast iron steak, mashed potatoes, sauteed spinach, just like an all-American classic. And then I got one more just chilling in the fridge. I don't know what to do with it. I'll you might take this as sacrilegious, but I'll probably transform it somehow. Maybe I'll marinate it and then use it in some kind of like Korean-style beef bowl. It's a little, it flies in the face of the flavor of a ribeye, I'll admit, you know, because it's such a sacred cut of meat, but I think it could work. I'm realizing there is a path to success in 20 minutes till midnight at all times. And the path to success is, if you want health, and you're going to need it at some point, don't build health. build fire so that you get the burn. If you build that and you build damage, you're gonna be fine. Hello, Jay, by the way. Hello. Very cozy Minecraft entertainment, Jay. I always like watching people... Like, Malv is another good example. I love watching people who are good at, like, visual design play games like Minecraft. Because it really just... For me, it just illuminates the different kinds of brains that are out there. Like, when I watch Jay or Malf play Minecraft... It's just that they're using a set of skills that don't exist naturally in my cerebrum. I'm not saying because I don't want to be defeatist. I'm not saying I couldn't get there with like enough training, but and I'm also not saying it came naturally to them and they didn't have to hone any muscles or something like that. I'm just saying I think for me, it's not one of those things that came easy to me, for sure. So my work is cut out for me. Now this is tough. This is tough. I have to ask. Rage for extra fire rate, which gives you much better lightning. Or elements for much better of all elemental effects. Okay, you know what? I see trusted chatters saying rage. I take rage. It's that simple. And then you know what? Look at this. You gotta be a big shot. 45% extra damage. That nullifies the ill effects we had in the first place. Although we do have to acknowledge the sequence of returns risk. Because we went down 50% in order to go back up to where we previously were. We'd actually have to get a plus 100% bonus. But I'll still take a plus 46% if you're offering. They stack additively. I'm just going to be honest, that doesn't come easily to me either. I don't know what that means. But 45% is a big number, so I'm happy with it. You get the choice between a meat dinner or a fish dinner. What would you take? You know, it's a great question, a meat dinner or a fish dinner. Here's the thing. Obviously, like, not all meats are created equal, but fish has an insanely high variance. Like, if you're giving me a choice of fish... You know, let me big shot you for a second. I think the ultimate test of this for me was when I was in Iceland. You had the choice, you could eat some reindeer, or you could eat some halibut. I went for the halibut, like, every time. When you get the creme de la creme of the fish, I'm a fish guy. If you're giving me the choice between like a random whitefish and like a half-decent steak, then I would take the steak. But I think the highs of fish, for me, are preferable to the highs of meat. But I mean, there's bounty from nature in all directions, for sure. Fish is cringe? Fish is like the opposite of cringe. Honestly, you don't even want me to say this, because, like, it's gonna be... I'm gonna end up offending some people that would rather not be offended. The cringe... This is not to say it's the worst, but the cringest meat is definitely beef, because people are just, like, so insanely in love with it. Beef is like the culinary shortcut for, like, look at how masculine I am. Look at this big steak. Look at how big this steak is. Holy cow. That's cringe to me. Fish is not cringe. Fish is like, you know, it's good for you. It tastes good. There's a large amount of variety in it. It's, in some cases, less environmentally destructive. I don't think that's cringe at all. What's cringe for me is when people, like, won't eat a bass because they say it tastes too fishy. That's, in my world, that's cringe. I'm going split fire, man. I don't eat fish because it tastes too fishy. You know, I'm not even mad. More fish for me, as far as I'm concerned. There's great variety in fish too. You know, a salmon tastes different than a halibut. Is different uses than a cod. Different uses than a rainbow trout or an Arctic char. Even like when we get sushi, I know that there's a lot of people who are like, you know, they like the salmon, they like the tuna, they don't really like the mackerel. I'll take the mackerel, and it hands down. More burns so we can get burn healing, please. The oilier and fishier a fish, to some extent, the better. For me. A pickled herring, sign me up. Lutefisk, don't sign me up. I've never had it, but I don't think I would love it. I don't mind an oily fish, though. A sturgeon. I'll tell you, and I apologize to my boomer Korean audience. There might be one person out there watching. The worst fish I've ever had in my life was anglerfish. Which is a dish, I had it in Korea. It's called agwijim. And I was told, like, oh, it's like a really, like, old Korean people love it. It's like kind of an upscale meal, like it's a special treat. And then a restaurant opened in our neighborhood, and I was like, I gotta try this once. When I ate it, I was like, this is easily one of the worst seafood dishes I've ever had in my entire life. I don't mean to be a little ageist here, but I think any food where it's predominantly people like over the age of 60 that eat it, and young people have said, you know, I'm not interested, I have to feel like most of them are kind of bad. Maybe bad is not the right, just not to my like. Like, organ meat. I feel like the average person who like willfully buys like liver at the grocery store and cooks it must be easily in like their 70s. Love me some cabbage rolls. I'm gonna be honest, I've never had them. I would give it a try. What kind of cuisine is cabbage roll? It's like Northern European, Polish, Danish, Finnish, Eastern. Okay, I'd give it a try. I haven't eaten that much Eastern European food. I just know like pierogies and borscht basically, and that's it. I just saw movement speed, I think. Kielbasa? Okay, I love you, baby, but all I can think about is kielbasa sausage. Your butt cheese is warm. I'll check your dipstick. You need lubrication, honey. My kielbasa sausage has just got to perform. Is that not how you order it in the restaurant? That's on the secret menu. Excuse me. Sorry, I forgot not everybody's familiar with every song on Tenacious D's first album. Okay, if we're getting down into the nitty-gritty, okay? What's Tenacious D's best song if you take out Tribute and you take out Wonder Boy? And this is not my pick for the best, but I would take out F Her Gently, just because for me it's humorous. It's not that good of a song because it's a comedy song exclusively. I think that being out of there is good in order to get the conversation flowing. I see the Metal, I see Kickapoo, I see City Hall, I see Beelzebos, I see Double Team. I gotta be honest, out of all of those, and there are some more, I'll be honest, I didn't name them all. And Biohazard 020, thanks for the gifted subscriptions, thank you. Out of all those, I'm definitely a City Hall guy. Something about City Hall always gets me going. The metal, it's not my favorite. And in fact, I think I'm holding it against Tenacious D. That the metal is the Tenacious D song that they chose for Guitar Hero 3, which was just like, come on. Of all the songs in the catalog, you went with the metal? Master Exploder, okay, you know, it's got that ascending note at the start. The dude's head explodes, sure. Is this the strongest run I've ever had, by the way? Like, there's no enemies on the screen. Something about Jack Black's voice puts me in a bad mood. Honestly, like, you have my sympathy, because just Jack Black's mere existence puts me in a good mood. He's just got a certain way about him that just makes me... I would literally... He just seems like a great guy to just, like, go out for breakfast with. I feel like he's effortlessly entertaining. You're a boss, huh? Allegedly? I'm stunned you're not dead. That's okay. We'll get some more space going here. He just seems like a... I'm not saying he's a good guy, and I don't mean to say that he's a bad guy at all. But there's no way for you to know. I think that's where people get in trouble. You know, they like a celebrity's work, they like a celebrity's personality, and thus they assume that they're like a saint. If we've learned anything over like the past decade, we should acknowledge that I don't know anything about Jack Black's home life. I mostly just like his work. I have no reason to believe he's a bad guy. But he does seem like he'd be fun to hang out with. He's got like an infectious exuberance that, to be honest, I'm a little jealous of. I hate his work, but he seems like a cool dude. That's completely fair. I'm sure there's actors that I feel the same way for. I mean, honestly, that used to be how I felt about, like, Will Smith, and then he slapped Chris Rock and wrote his autobiography where he said when he was younger, he would throw up after he ejaculated, and I'm like, honestly, it seems kind of high maintenance. You know what? I don't know. Someone said Ryan Reynolds. I don't know. Like, Ryan Reynolds, he seems fine. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of his work, but I don't really... When I see Ryan Reynolds in a role, I'm not like, oh, it would be really cool to, like, hang out with him outside of, like, the Deadpool costume. I think I would be exhausted. This is not meant to be, like, too much of a knock on him. He's a basic birch. So true. Salsa on my balls, boys. Oh, I thought I had something to say, but I forgot about it. It was in there for a second, and then it's gone. It was a good bit. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can recover it from chat. You're too Canadian? Van Wilder is a 10 out of 10 movie? Hold on, that is not true. Come on. Van Wilder's like a... I mean, it's like a 5 out of 10 movie. And that's fine. The world could use more 5 out of 10 comedies. Yeah, I think, you know, Keanu's maybe a pretty good example. Actually, you know what? Maybe the best example, and I mean this sincerely. You might think that I'm joking. I actually think that... I bet Melissa McCarthy is, like, funny as hell. She just happens to get cast or also write the worst movies of all time. But she seems like she would be a laugh riot to hang out with. And you can't even stand on like a moral high ground and be like, oh, what's she gonna do? Talk about like, oh, pooping and diarrhea and behaving badly as a middle-aged woman? Because like, what are you doing watching my show? I've been talking about diarrhea for like the last week. So, you know, what are you going to say when it's your streamer that introduced him to you? That is not Arnold Schwarzenegger anymore. That is like, I don't even know. He was laying it on pretty thick. It's like a Belarusian minister of transport or something. He was a French chef. He's lost it. It became Fat Bastard. Hans Landa? Who's Hans Landa? That sounds so familiar. Is that Inglourious Bastards? It is, okay. I've been hit? I have not been hit. I've been moved? I've not been moved. If I'm being honest, I think this is the last time we actually are at risk of death. Because we could get hit by the same beam like 3 times in a row. If we can avoid that sorry fate, I think we're okay. Uh-oh. No, it's okay. We have burn regen. All we gotta do is inflict burn. We'll heal. Every 2,000... Every 4,000 shots, because burn's only a 50%. I came back to... See, I told you I came back to life. Holy cow, it was actually really dangerous. Bullet damage, but burn, lightning, and freeze get better? Nah, man. Give me extra bullet damage. That's the ticket right there. I'm not taking any risks lowering my bullet damage. Then we'll just go max HP from this point onwards. Don't even worry about it. Bro, can you just like get away from me for 2 seconds? Holy cow. I said max HP, please. Doubles base projectiles. I said max HP, please. Okay. I mean, I actually forgot that this character is like based around summon damage. We're just taking that as like a nice to have. The one time I didn't believe. Dude, honestly, like something broke in me, and I feel like we're just really good at this game now. Sure, why not? Like we just figured out the order in which we need to take things to actually like not lose early, and then, you know, just invest in your run. Holy cow. Just take frost? Okay, well, like, there's more to it than just take frost, but that's an element of it. I pooped out all the suck, and I retained all the good, man. Game's so laggy, like, the run is so good, we turned the game into Vampire Survivors. You pooped out the suck? Oh, yes. I mean, if I'm being honest, like, there were times when I was at the depths of, you know, negativity as a result of this food poisoning. I feel like is it possible to get the bends on land? Or is that one of those things that can, like, only happen when you're surfacing too fast from, like, an underwater dive? Can you just, like, be so messed up that you have the bends on Earth? Has anyone ever gotten terrestrial bends? Altitude sickness? That doesn't sound too terrestrial to me. in a hyperbaric chamber. Do those actually exist? Like the thing that David Duchovny had his hand in Zoolander? They do? They do? Okay. I didn't know that. I feel like the worst part of being a professional athlete would be doing all that weird stuff. You know, like you just walk off the court, it's game 4 of the Eastern Conference NBA Finals. You gotta, immediately they're like, okay, hey, Jason Tatum, we're gonna put you in an industrial-sized cauldron that's just full of ice water. You're like, come on, man, I'm tired. Oh, we gotta put you in like a walk-in blast chiller, like you work at a French bakery or something like that. It's just, that stuff just seems unnecessary. He probably just, he's hungry, dude. Just let him have a snack or something. Why not? What happened to good old dirt? I mean, the stories from like the old NHL are so funny that like nowadays people are, I mean, they're professional athletes, right? Like they're incredibly concerned with their nutrition, their vitamin intake, you know, timing their water so that they don't get cramps and stuff like that. If you read stories from like the 80s NHL, they're like, oh, we went into double overtime, so we ordered like 10 large pizzas for the team. They would smoke cigarettes as they got ready to play their 6th consecutive period of hockey and then eat like a quick pepperoni pizza. I guess we should take HP just in case. No off-season training at all, the Dustin Bufflin strat. I mean, there was kind of like, this is gonna farm +2s, and I apologize for it, but I really feel like the 80s must have been like the easiest time on earth to succeed. You could be a professional athlete and not take care of yourself. You didn't have to fight in a world war or like Vietnam or something like that. After the 70s, the economy started ripping. Like, nowadays, to be a professional athlete, you gotta crush the dreams of like 100 kids your age to take their spot in the 5th round of the draft. And then live that dream for 24 hours for 6 years, get 2 games in the NHL, get sent down to the AHL, next season get 7 games in the NHL, hope that the dude in front of you tears his ACL so you can get a breakthrough and be on the 3rd line with second power play minutes and hope that you get discovered. Maybe they trade you to a team with a positional. In the 80s, it was like, they're just like, that kid's really good. Guess what? You're the captain of the California Golden Seals. I'm not saying you didn't have to work hard as well, but like compared to what it must be like to become a pro athlete in like the 2020s is crazy. You could be a comedian just talking about airplane food. It's absolutely true. You could literally tell the worst jokes of all time. It was my wife's birthday. She wanted to go to the opera. The opera! So I'm sitting there and the guy up on stage, he's going, oh, la 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 la. Finally, I'm there for 1 hour, 2 hours. I couldn't take it. I stood up and I said, shut the fuck up! Sorry, it's literally just it's a Tim Heidecker joke, but I love it. Oh, sorry, slash marker 20 mins. Let's run back another.